Hi everyone, our group is the nervous system and we did our project on Alzheimer's disease. My name is Laura Rubio.
My name is Sandeep Johal.
My name is Madison Alcantar.
And my name is Joanna Rubicava.
So Alzheimer's disease is the most common cause of dementia, and dementia is a general term that explains the decline of cognitive function that eventually interferes with daily living activities. Alzheimer's disease is the sixth leading cause of morbidity in the United States. It is an irreversible brain disorder caused by damage to brain cells. Some characteristics of Alzheimer's disease include confusion, memory loss, disorientation, sundowner syndrome, speech impairment, and other emotional disturbances. It usually occurs later in life, usually after 65 years or older. There are three stages of Alzheimer's disease: mild, moderate, and severe. As you can see in this picture, you see a brain, a normal brain compared to a brain with Alzheimer's disease. The brain with Alzheimer's disease, as you can see, has an atrophy of the cerebral cortex, so it's significantly smaller than a normal brain. The types of healthcare professionals involved are a primary care physician, a geriatrician, neurologist, a neuropsychologist, and a geriatric psychologist. Some interventions and treatments for Alzheimer's disease include medications for cognitive impairments, behavioral treatments, treatment for sleep disturbances, and other alternatives. Currently, there is no cure for Alzheimer's disease, but many medications and treatments can slow the progression of the disease. Some medical equipment used would be personal alarms, car battery switches, a memory dial telephone, bathroom support products. Some mobility equipment includes canes, wheelchairs, and walkers. And diagnostic equipment would be an MRI, a PET scan, a CT imaging, laboratory tests, and memory tests.
So some medical testing that is required to be diagnosed with Alzheimer's is your standard medical workup where you do check your blood pressure, blood glucose, urine test, MRI scan, a CT scan, a PET scan. Physicians may use brain imaging tools to find out if the individual has high levels of beta, and they usually conduct tests of memory, problem solving, and attention to see if the individual can remember things. So next slide. So highlight sequel of Alzheimer's disease is our Alzheimer's is usually always combination with another disease. So it may cause other dementias, including Lewy body dementia, vascular dementia, and frontotemporal disorders. It is common for people to have two or more diseases together along with Alzheimer's. And a traumatic brain injury or brain damage can occur after Alzheimer's, or also may be the cause of dementia and Alzheimer's. Next slide. So some precautions to take for health and nutrition safety are genetics play a huge factor for the development and course of Alzheimer's disease. So if someone in your family has Alzheimer's, it is very likely that you will also get it. Heart disease, stroke, high blood pressure, your typical diseases that people get diagnosed with are also related to Alzheimer's, diabetes, and obesity. And as always, a nutritious diet, physical activity, social engagement, mentally stimulating pursuits have helped people stay healthy as they age and reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease. Next slide.
So the effects of the body systems by Alzheimer's include the nervous system and the immune system. So in the nervous system, it impairs our memory, thinking, and behavior and causes confusion, while in the immune system, with age, the thymus shrinks and causes a loss of function of the appendix. Next slide. So the importance to society is that researchers have not yet found a specific gene that causes Alzheimer's. However, the gene APOE is known to increase a person's risk of Alzheimer's. Most people with Down syndrome develop Alzheimer's due to the extra copy of chromosome 21, which generates harmful amyloid. Since researchers have began to unravel the brain of individuals with Alzheimer's, they have indicated that the brain changes may occur a decade or more before memory and other cognitive problems occur. Next slide. So major functions in the nervous system include 1, our body controls regulation of certain temperature changes, sending messages to blood vessels to dilate, sweat, or increase blood flow. 2, our body helps our reflexes to protect us from injuries such as intense workouts or rolling an ankle. 3, our nervous system helps create new memories of movements or learning a certain language. And 4, controls our voluntary movement, in which sends messages to a particular part of the body in which moves. If performed repeatedly, the movement will become muscle memory. Next slide.
There are many major parts of the nervous system impacted by Alzheimer's, and understanding the neurophysiology of the disease can help us better understand the progression and parts of the nervous system that are impacted. The disease first begins in the medial temporal lobe, and then it spreads to the lateral temporal lobe and then the parietal lobe. From there, it spreads to the frontal and finally the occipital lobe, and the hippocampus and the entorhinal cortex are initially damaged. By the final stage, the brain tissue has significantly shrunk, and this is due to the age-related changes in the brain that impact the neurons. The healthy neurons stop functioning and eventually die. Other types of brain cells are also damaged by the age-related changes in the brain. At the final stage, the brain is significantly shrunk. And so for the next slide, we'll be talking about the function of the parts involved in Alzheimer's. So the medial lobe is necessary for explicit or declarative memory. Lateral temporal lobe is necessary for language comprehension, visual processing and hearing, and facial recognition. The parietal lobe is necessary to process sensory information. The frontal lobe is responsible for voluntary movement, speech, attention, and problem solving. The occipital lobe is responsible for interpreting information from the eyes. The hippocampus is responsible for human learning and memory. And the entorhinal cortex is responsible for time perception, memory, and navigation. When all of these or most of these parts are dysfunctioned, that's when Alzheimer's is a lot more noticeable. These main parts are severely impacted and the function is altered. So for the next slide, we'll be talking about the pathways impacted by Alzheimer's disease. Several pathways are impacted by Alzheimer's, including cell signaling pathways like the WNT signaling pathway. This is just one example that's impacted by Alzheimer's. For example, this pathway is responsible for regulation of cells, fate, polarity, migration, and patterning. This pathway is prominent for embryonic development and homeostasis. However, as Alzheimer's progresses, this pathway begins to deregulate. The dysfunction of this signaling pathway is also associated with many diseases like cancer, autism, schizophrenia, epilepsy, and other mood disorders. When this pathway is dysfunctioned, neurons degrade and synapses are impaired. However, targeting this WNT pathway can help those who struggle with the disease and better their lives. And so for the next slide.
Okay, and for lastly, just want to give a few statistics about Alzheimer's disease. So here's a quick video.